32-11 now on the season. 8-8 in SEC play. Wilson, Taylor, Malvin, Jaden Pone, and Aaliyah Benford, the pitcher. She'll hit for herself there in the 3 spot tonight. You take a look in the 8 spot. And Ashton Lansdale, one of those grand slams last night, the other off the bat of Lexi Brady. 5 RBIs. Brady had 6 RBIs, which tied a single game program record there for Ole Miss. And you talk about short memory. You got to have one here tonight.
Have to.
And that goes both ways. Obviously, Georgia's pitchers certainly come in here tonight feeling like they've got something to prove. Meanwhile, those Ole Miss bats, you can't just assume you're going to be able to just stick the bat out there and score like you did last night. You know, it's a new game, new day.
Yeah, I think both teams have to have a short-term memory and, be able to compete again today and, bring their best A game in the circle, defense, offense.
And 2 after the top of the hour. First pitch is a ball to the right fielder, Taylor Malvin. A 4-for-5 night in the series opener yesterday. Hit and run miss there, 1-1. Junior fouls this one away, and the count moves to 1-2.
Backus has been struggling a little bit, just finding the strike zone, being consistent within the strike zone. Georgia's pitchers have given up a lot of walks throughout the season so far, so really looking for Backus to trust her pitches. She has great pitches, great movement, and really going to her off speed here early and often throughout this game.
Malvin, the junior, she's a local product from just down the road, Johns Creek and Buford High School. So probably got a good chunk of the Ole Miss contingent there sitting in the sun on the first base side as the 2-2 swung on and missed for strike 3, 1 away.
A great look for Backus going with her rise ball up and away, getting the hitter to chase that.
Jaden Pone takes a strike, 0-1 defensively for Georgia. Goodwin, Goodnight, and Gordon left to right across the outfield. Williams, Digby, Ellison, and White left to right across the infield. As the 0-1 misses 1-1. And Marissa Miller catching the balls and strikes here tonight. From Lily Backus, you see Pone's numbers on the season and 1 for 4 in the Game 1 win last night. Got a piece there behind 1 and 2.
You can see she's gone with her off speed 2 times now, being ahead in the count, really relying on getting ahead early with these hitters, getting them to chase her pitches, and then using that off speed later in the count and multiple times during the at-bat. And I think that's going to be the bread and butter for Backus tonight.
Lefty on lefty, piece there, 1 and 2 the count.
I think sometimes when you're struggling at something, whether that's pitching, defense, offense, when you're playing a team sport like this, it can be magnified in games like last night. But I think for Backus, trust the things that you're good at, and her changeup is one of the best changeups in the country. And so through the struggles, you have to continue to do things that you're great at, because that's what got you there. And so I think for her, just trusting her defense, trusting her pitches, and really utilizing the off speed a lot tonight is going to be her key to success.
Count even 2 and 2. That one comes in low, and the count full now 3 and 2. With the pitcher Leah Benford waiting on deck. Hard hit, and that one will bounce off the tip of the glove of Ellison at second. And Jaden Pone is aboard as the first base runner here this afternoon for Ole Miss. Lily Backus scouting report. Got 4 different pitches there.
Yeah, and you see her curve rise and changeup. I mean, she can put both of those on both sides of the plate. Again, her changeup really good, especially against righties, because she can keep it on the outside corner and gets them to chase a lot, and then keep it on the outside for against lefties and get them to pull it, just like you saw just now with that ground ball.
It's a single for Pone. 0-1, and the pitcher Aaliyah Benford chases that one upstairs. Count now 0-2. Bounces, throw down to second. And that'll be a stolen base for Ole Miss, and Jaden Pone, that's her 13th of the season, and she is perfect on the year.
Really a great time to steal, knowing Backus is going with her off-speed a lot. She's ahead in the account 0-2. If I'm calling pitches, I'm telling Backus to keep this low on the ground so nobody hits it. So that's a great time as a runner to take that and steal.
Be a strike him out, throw him out there at first base as Benford is retired for the second out.
And you can see she goes with her off speed yet again, and we've seen it 4 or 5 times now in the first 3 batters.
And here is freshman Percy Yamas. Two for 4 last night. .373 hitter on the season as a freshman.
In the SEC, I mean, that's great. That's what that's what you want your freshmen to come in and do. It doesn't always happen that way, but certainly makes making the lineup really hard when your freshmen come in and they're killing it, hitting, mid threes, upward threes. So kudos to her. I'm sure, a lot of hard work goes into that. Great coaching goes into that and developing.
Grounded off the plate. Fielded by White. She'll take it herself. And that'll do it for Ole Miss in the first. We head to the bottom half. Leah Benford, we saw her bat in the top half. She'll go to work in the circle here in the bottom half as the senior from New Braunfels, Texas, will go get the start, her 13th, 80 and a third work, a 3.05 ERA. She's walked 34, struck out 61, a near 2-to-1 ratio on that ball to strikeout to walk split. You certainly like to see that.
Yeah, for sure. Her leadership is quite obvious on this team. Very athletic, which gives you a lot. As a defense, it gives you less stress on the corners when you have such an athletic pitcher who can move, who can throw, who can field her position.
Lineup offensively here for Georgia, 27-16 on the season, 5-13 in the SEC. Be Ellison, Dallas Goodnight, and Liddy Ray Davis here in the first. And you saw Mua Williams, who has gotten so much better over the course of the season as a freshman.
Yeah, you watch her swings, you watch her at bats over the course of the year, and it looks like it should be doing better. And so I think sometimes that can be frustrating, especially as a freshman. You want it to just happen. But kudos to her. I mean, last night she had a great game. And so being able to do that as a freshman, playing third base, coming through for your team, it's what you want from your freshman.
5-3 put out there at first base on Ellison, one away. And Leah Benford. Anything jump out at you there?
I mean, yeah, she's going to pitch a lot faster, and she can locate her curveball, goes to her drop ball a lot, but she counts on her location a lot, and I think that's important. You know, the strike zone's not always the same, so being able to maintain your composure and having control over the strike zone as a pitcher is what you're going to want here to lead your team.
Dallas Goodnight, the batter here for Georgia. Batting in the 2 spot here with 1 away, and the base is empty. 2-0 count here for the senior. 2 for 3 last night. Called strike there. Eddie Hall is calling the balls and strikes here in game 2. Matt Dial is at first base. And Susan Eads over at third.
Her drop ball is going to be her main strike pitch. I know she can go both sides of the plate with that. But right now it seems like she's a little inconsistent with the strike zone and being able to get strikes called here. So for Georgia, it's important, make her pitch strikes. Get good pitches that you know you can hit hard or, you know, move the runner. But for Ole Miss right now, they're going to want to be going right at the Georgia hitters.
And Tony Baldwin already wanting to pull this offense together here with a runner aboard and talk strategy and how you hit.
For sure, and how do we manufacture a run here? I think is what Georgia needs to be talking about and figuring out. You have Dallas Goodnight on first, which is a great thing. A lot of speed. You have Lindy Ray Davis here up right now, leads the team, top 2 or 3 in RBIs. Hitting well for herself in SEC conference play. So really looking to move the runner here.
So here's Lindy Ray Davis with a runner aboard and 1 out. And looking at a strike, 0-1. Davis, a senior from Calhoun. 272 on the season, 1 for 3 last night. Patient batter. She will stand in, take pitches, good eye and judgment there to get aboard. And we were talking before the game, she's somebody that average has picked up over the course of the season, particularly in SEC play. So that's someone that obviously is improving over the course of the season.
Yeah, she leads the team in walks. She's very patient, sees a lot of pitches, which is really good. As an offense, you have people who see a lot of pitches. Whether or not she gets a hit or not, the point is the people behind her. She's getting good pitches. She's seeing a lot of pitches, and it gives you more intel for everybody else.
Gets a piece on that one to even the count up 2-2. Dallas Goodnight with speed, 24 stolen bases on the season at first. Here's the 2-2. Check swing, throw down to second. And punched out on the steal is Dallas Goodnight. What a throw from the catcher, Lexi Brady.
Incredible. That was seamless. I mean, Dallas is probably one of the fastest players in the SEC, I'd say country even. She'd only been thrown out 3 times this whole entire season, and she just threw her out with ease.
And that looks like a fair ball. Here is Lindy Ray Davis going to second. I don't know we ever got a call from Matt Dial, fair or foul.
Looked like it hit the corner of the bag, fair.
And that's what he's saying, it hit the base, so a fair ball. And Davis wisely just kept running.
Yeah, it bounced fair and hit that outside corner of that bag. Which you love to see that hit, but you hate that Dallas just got out at second.
Yeah.
But you want to move the runners, and 24 for 27 on the year, so.
Yeah, that's just the 4th time the Dallas Goodnight's been caught stealing all year. So Lindy Ray Davis aboard with a double. And in scoring position, 1-0 swung on and missed there by Jaden Goodwin. And moves the count 1-1.
The thing about being really fast and stealing a lot, you're not going to surprise anybody when you steal. They're going to be ready, and Brady was on the money, ready, 100%. What an incredible throw.
Liner to first. And that'll do it for Georgia here in the first. Scoreless, surprising scoreless after one. We talked offense primarily here at the top of the show. You go into the pitching from last night's historic contest. Hits, runs, so many of those runs earned as well. And the walks are kind of what jumps out at me. You put freebies on the bases in the SEC, as good as these batters are, generally offenses are going to make you pay.
Yeah, there's a lot of some things and there's not enough of others. And for me, when I see that, I look at strikeouts, and on both sides, you had 5 strikeouts, you had 3. Both offenses were swinging the bat all night. And I think that goes to show that both pitching staffs don't have a pitcher that's going to strike out a lot. So it's really strategic. How do we capitalize? How do we hit? How do we pick pitches? And you can see, like, the numbers last night, wild.
Here's the catcher, Lexi Brady.
She had a decent night last night.
She did all right. She did all right. Hit one of 2 grand slams on the night. I mean, you don't see a grand slam every weekend. Then you get 2 in the same game.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it's
fair ball. Williams will have to hustle that one over. And it'll get there in time for the out. One away. There's Jamie Traxel, 5th season as the Ole Miss head coach. NCAA tournament participant in every year, and certainly headed to its 5th under her this season.
Yeah, she's put together a great staff this year, a lot of new faces in their coaching staff. But her consistency, she's put together a great team, great athletes. And when you see those stats at a new school, and then you know, in the postseason appearances, I mean, she's doing something right. And I think the more time under her belt, you know, it's a process.
One-0 gets in there for a strike, 1-1. Two and one. Kenzie Pickens standing in here for Ole Miss, the second baseman. Another local product, Flowery Branch. Hour or so away, Buford High School. 3-1.
I think you're seeing back is a little, maybe not a little frustrated, but that last pitch was really close. And I think that's been one of the main things is, you know, they're giving up a lot of walks, kind of dancing around the strike zone, but also maybe a smaller strike zone in some of these games. And it makes it hard for pitchers to not have to throw over the white a lot. And then especially if teams aren't swinging at pitches out of the zone, they're going to make you throw it right over the white.
Backus, this one gets to her, and she won't have a play on it. And Mackenzie Pickens, the native Georgian, back at home here in Athens, able to get to first.
Backus doing a good job right now making Ole Miss, they've only hit ground balls to the infield. And so Obviously, there's a couple balls that I think Georgia would want back, a couple plays. But overall, Backus is doing her job. She's doing well about getting them to swing at her off speed and a rise ball and producing ground balls for her infield.
One and one the count here to Lair Boutte. Boutte, a senior, the designated player here tonight. Jammed her upstairs, able to hold back 2-1.
I think there's a fine line with Backus and her rise ball. As a hitter, I can register if a ball is going to be way out of the zone. I'm not going to swing at it.
Throw down to second. Safe, sliding in underneath.
I think she got her hand in.
Here's Mackenzie Pickens.
It's close.
10 for 10 on the season with stolen bases. This would be 11. And you immediately saw Tyler Ellison put her hands to her head saying, get a look at it. And we are going to have our first challenge of the game.
I think we might see it overturned.
Ruling on the field is that the base runner is safe at second base. George is challenging the call. This play is under further review.
So Matt Dial working first base here this evening will let us know that this one's going to be looked at for a second time, and the SEC office in Birmingham will put eyeballs on this one. You see him communicating with the official review in Birmingham.
And you see both teams right now being aggressive, taking their bases, stealing, because they know how important 60 feet is in this game, even with the score of last night's game.
Tony Baldwin there in the dugout. Little rally facial hair growing there for Tony Baldwin, normally clean shave.
After further review, the second base has been changed. The runner's out. That's Georgia's first challenge.
And a good call there for Tony Baldwin to use his first challenge of the night. This is the enhanced Hawkeye Vision replay there, and great throw and tag there. Marissa Miller getting that one in to Emily Digby.
Inches.
I mean, her fingertips to the base, 2 inches maybe.
Hawkeye never misses.
That one fouled back. So we mentioned Mackenzie Pickens had been 10 for 10 on the season, the freshman. Make that 10 for 11. That one fouled away by Boutte. The 2-2. Both teams will get 2 challenges here tonight.
And that's a good spot for Backus's off speed, especially with a 2-2 count, because the hitters are going to be ready for something in the zone. So keeping it low, out of the way, see if they can chase it is great. You just want to be able to keep it contained, not give up free bases.
And that is the first freebie issued by Lily Backus here so far tonight. And that'll bring up the third native of the Peach State here, as Marietta's own Ashton Lansdell stands in. The Wheeler High graduate, a product of FIU before transferring to Oxford. And that one missed, and Chelsea Wilkinson's going to emerge from the Georgia dugout to have a talk with her pitcher.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to call timeout. She's pitched. The last couple have been balls. Last 3 in a row have been balls. Runners on. You don't want to give up. You don't want to give up a big hit here. So you want to be strategic. Make sure we're getting our pitches. As a pitcher, you want to go right at them, but you don't want to pitch it down the middle. And I think Backus right now is struggling just to be consistent in the strike zone. So I think that's a great time to call timeout, calm her down a little bit, reset, and go right at her here.
Fouled away, 1-1. Two and one here to Lansdale, runner at first base. Senior hitting .250. Drove in 5 last night, 4 on the Grand Slam. And is ahead here, 3-1.
I think Backus needs to think about what can I throw that they're going to swing at that I can consistently put in the strikes or close to the strike zone. I think her curveball inside to righties, you can see there she's fouling that off again. She's jamming her inside. And they're going to have a hard time laying off that curveball because it looks good to hit. A lot of her other pitches that are balls are just really balls, and they're not swinging at it, they're not going for it, and they're not chasing them. So she has to be careful with giving them really, really good pitches or just balls. There we go.
3-2.
That's what she wants.
Strikeout there. We go to the bottom of the second. Set between these two teams in a top 25 battle. Getting down to the nitty-gritty of the conference schedule here. Every single one of these games gets a little bit more meaningful as you try to position yourself for seeding into the SEC tournament, solidify where you want to be in a NCAA regional, or if you find yourself below 500, trying to crawl back above 500 so you can make the postseason.
Yeah, I think it's when you get down, later in your season, it's easy to look ahead. And I think for both of these teams with where they are in the SEC standings, I think they just need to focus on doing good and finding ways to win and manufacturing runs, and everything else will kind of fix itself. But if you start getting ahead of yourself too much and looking down the road, you can't get those weekends back. You can't get those games back. And for both of these teams here, the rest of their games matter. All the games matter. But when you start to get squeezed out of different opportunities, or other teams may be winning and you didn't win, dropping a couple series you want to try to focus on the small things and, come together as a team at the end of the season and find yourself in a good place mentally, physically, emotionally going into postseason.
3-1 here to Sarah Gordon after the Georgia series. Ole Miss just has Tennessee and Mississippi State left. 3-game series apiece on the schedule. There's a bouncer by Gordon back up the middle on the 3-1 for a leadoff single here in the second, and a good start for Georgia.
That's Gordon's 20th hit in the SEC Conference play, which ties the team with Jaden Goodwin with 20 hits. Those are your run producers. Those are the people that get on base that you see getting a lot of hits. Just a single up the middle. And that's what Georgia needs here, just to start the inning off, pass the bat, and move 60 feet.
It's one thing when this Georgia offense has struggled this year. They've struggled to string things together. They'll get a hit here, get a hit there, but they can never get back-to-back multiple hits in an inning. Although, going to get multiple hits in an inning right
Say
here.
that
As
one
this
more time.
Will go to the track, getting waved around is Gordon, and a late stop sign thrown up there at third base. She was getting waved, but a good throw there from Malvin in right field. And you've got runners on the corners.
That's the name of the game, going 2 bases, less than 2 outs, getting something you can drive, go oppo with. And like we were saying, you want to be able to string things together. It might not be home run after home run after home run. It's just base hits. Picking pitches that you can sit on, that you can hit hard, something through the infield, something that can move the runners is what Georgia needs to find themselves doing a little bit better here.
Check swing, Miller, did she go? She did. Georgia crowd not thrilled.
Did not agree with that, I don't think. I don't know if anybody's ever going to agree with what the umpire. Somebody's going to disagree.
Miller lightly offers it that one and pulls it foul, so now behind 0-2 is the junior from Sewanee.
I do think this is a good opportunity to manufacture a run, move the runner, but you also have to remember Brady being behind the plate just throughout Dallas Goodnight, has a great arm. So if you're thinking about a first and third situation, you don't want to run into an out. You don't want to create a situation that you can avoid. You want to be able to walk away with either moving the runner, manufacturing a run, sack fly here, maybe a squeeze, stealing cover.
Miller, that one got her on the inside. The play will be at home, sliding in underneath and out is Sarah Gordon. So Georgia will have them first and second as Miller will reach on the fielder's choice. And Tony Baldwin's going to come out and talk. And
that looked a little closer than I thought that they called it. I feel like she might have got her hand under.
Ooh, that tag was
she
kind
got
of
her
right
like
in between
close
there.
to the shoulder bicep area.
Ruling on the field is that the runner is out at the plate. Georgia is using their second challenge. The challenge is called. This plays under further review.
So Georgia going to use its second challenge and will be out of challenges in the remainder of the game here.
It's tough. But, like you know, every run counts, so you want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward here.
When we've talked, you see Georgia's record 5-13 in the SEC. This is your next to last conference series. Your next one will be on the road against Missouri. So these are your final opportunities to win home games. Where obviously much easier to win at home than on the road. So you want to try to use everything you can to win and get those runs where possible. And Matt Dial talking with Birmingham as this will be Georgia's second review. Here's the Hawkeye review.
After further review, the call on the field is being upheld. The runner's out. Georgia's second challenge.
So close play at the plate. Worthwhile to give it a shot there.
I mean, you don't have any, there's nothing to lose. You know, if you score, you score. If you get it overturned, that's great. You still lose both challenges, but now you have a run. So, I mean, the time is now. I don't feel like there's a reason to wait. You know, you trust your team to put yourself in more opportunities to score. And I think that's what it shows when Tony goes first 3 innings, first 2 innings, using both of his challenges, is he trusts his team to put themselves in more positions to be able to score. And he understands that every base runner counts, every run counts. So he's going to use his challenges if he can.
Williams behind 0-2 here. And, of course, the one thing to note, the out at home, just the first out of the inning. So Georgia's still in good shape as Williams way out in front of that one. And that'll be the second out of the inning for Georgia. And it'll bring Esther White to the plate.
Now batting first baseman number 20, Esther White.
Benford going back-to-back off speeds. You see that Mila Williams had trouble. She swung and missed at the first one and go back-to-back. She's ahead in the count. 3 in a row.
White watches that one come in here, 0-1. Freshman 160 here on the season, 0 for 2 last night. Outside, we were talking schedule there, so next to last conference series here this weekend for Georgia. Then they've got a midweeker next week at Georgia Tech, but then Georgia gets the bye the following weekend and some rest before going to Columbia the first weekend of May.
Yeah, you talk about not a lot of time left to do the things that you want to do. So every moment in these games counts, and it matters for the next couple weeks, going into the SEC tournament and then in the postseason.
Grounded foul, count 2-2 here on White. There's Tony Baldwin. Got the rally beard going. I like it.
I bet a couple of those hairs might have grown a little longer after last night's game.
3+ hours.
Or got a little bit more gray.
He actually didn't have the beard before the game started last night. That was a
long game.
Yeah, byproduct of a long one. Inside, and that one will miss. So the count full here, 3-2. Well hit to right field. That ball is off the scoreboard. And Georgia with some offensive fireworks to get things started here on Friday night. Esther White hitting 160 on the season, cleans them off for the Dogs.
And I think it goes to show, like, nobody cares about stats at the end of the season. Nobody cares about stats while you're on the field. Coming in there, getting a clutch hit, sitting on a great pitch that you can drive. Nobody cares what your batting average, you know what I mean? And I think it's important as Georgia finishes their season and goes into the SEC tournament, figuring out ways to be successful, celebrating the small things is what's going to be important for them.
Got every bit of that one there. Did the freshman from New Johnsonville, Tennessee. Big smile in the dugout there for Esther White. We mentioned her 4th home run of the season. And now the base is empty, 2 away. And you go back to the top of the order here. And Tyler Ellison will bat. She grounded out to open the game. That's a good shot in the arm here for Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, your 9-hole hitter comes up clutch with a 3-run home run. It looked like it was a low drop in, so great barrel control, way to get her bat to that ball. That ball's coming 67, 68 miles an hour and driving it over the scoreboard, and getting your team to the top of the lineup is what you want from your 9-hole hitter. And I think for Georgia, using that as momentum and not letting off the gas is what they want. Having quality at bats, you know, making your at-bat count, making your swings count, swinging at good pitches, having competitive at-bats, building off of that home run.
Count full here to Ellison. This one lined into right. And drops foul. But of course, still a ton of game to go here as we're in the bottom of the second. You remember last night, Georgia led 8-2 after the second inning.
Yeah, this game's not easy. It's like, we got it. We finally got ahead. And then it's like, it's the second inning. You know, great teams can play 7+ innings with the same mentality. And I think, you know, playing with a 0-0 mentality is, you know, something you want to do as a team, because you can't ever get complacent and thinking that the amount of runs that you've scored is going to be enough, because the other team doesn't care. You know, they want to win just as much as you do.
Off the plate to short and underneath the glove there, Ryan Starr, the shortstop. And that one gets by her and will put Tyler Ellison at first.
Finding ways to get on base, whether it's your fault or it's an error, that type of stuff builds momentum for your teammates and, you know, hitters behind you, and that's what you want.
And it is an error charged to the shortstop as Dallas Goodnight pops this one up. The shortstop will take it. And that'll do it for the Dogs offensively in the second, but Georgia on the board first here in game 2 of this 3-game set. Esther White, the freshman, cranks one off the scoreboard at Jack Turner Stadium and gives Georgia a 3-0 lead. First baseman Esther White Gets the offense going for Georgia. She's responsible for those 3 runs as Georgia takes a 3-0 lead here to the third. And it'll be 9-1 and 2 for Ole Miss here in the top half of the third inning, and Angelina De Leon will lead things off.
You see Backus there going ahead, getting ahead early, up and in on their hands with her curveball to righties. I think that's going to be what she wants to do for the rest of the day because they're going to swing at it. They've shown that already. They fouled them off or swung and miss. I think that's going to be the pitch that's going to get her strikeouts, pop-ups, and jam swing and misses. And then utilizing her changeup and backdoor curve.
De Leon's dad is up here at the top of the stands and so nervous. He can't stand still and he can't watch half the time.
It's a dad thing. I think they need to make a dad zone where all the dads can sit and watch and pace back and forth when their daughters are pitching or hitting.
Ground ball, that one into the glove of the shortstop Digby and then pops out. So put De Leon aboard at first. And it'll be a single for De Leon. Top of the order, and Taylor Malvin.
Backus getting ahead early again. Really looking for a ground ball here. Maybe be able to turn 2, get the lead runner.
Popped up to first. And good ABC ball there as that'll move the runner into scoring position. And De Leon moving to second. There's Pops.
Pacing.
Pacing, even still.
We caught him in between paces.
Well, she's not at bat anymore, but she's on the base path, so he's still very nervous. It's fun to kind of watch him out of the side of my eye here while she was batting. Couldn't watch. Well hit, this one to right center and into the glove of Goodnight. She'll check and go to third. And with 2 away, 60 feet away now.
That's just a good offensive, you have the bunt, move the runner to second, and then you have not a sac fly, but a fly where you're moving the runner. Now you have a runner at third base, 2 outs, but a great hitter up, and that's what you want as an offense, to be able to move your runners.
And Chelsea Wilkinson going to pop out of the dugout for the second time here in this one.
And I think, too, this is a good time to call timeout, check in a little bit, reset, but also do know that we're now entering the second time through the lineup. And so you want to keep that in the back of your mind that they've already seen Backus, so they're making adjustments. So I think Backus and Coach Wilkinson need to also continue to make adjustments. And where are we? What are we doing? What are our game plan need to go forward for Georgia?
An interesting flip of the normal thinking. The more times those batters see a pitcher, the more adjustments they're making advantageous for the batter.
Right, yeah, batters should always be making adjustments. But on the flip side, as a pitcher, from that perspective, you kind of have to also make adjustments to their adjustments. If you're going heavy on your off-speed or rise ball in the first inning, second inning, maybe we go less of that because now they're thinking that's what they're going to get. So it's a constant chess match between hitters and pitchers and what they're looking for, what they're sitting on. And as a pitcher, you don't want to do the same thing every time to every single batter because that's not going to end well.
What's interesting is the common logic there kind of flips as this one gets away from the catcher. De Leon comes home. She slides across safely, and Ole Miss has its first run of the evening. And Georgia leads now 3-1. Heads up base running right there.
Yeah, you never know how that ball is going to bounce off the wall, if it's going to bounce off the wall, but it's in front of you, and so you have a good view of everything happening, and being aggressive pays off sometimes.
So it'll be a wild pitch that scores Angelina De Leon from third. But what I was going to say about Georgia's offense, obviously advantageous for those batters the more times they see a pitcher. Georgia's offense has scored a sizable chunk of its runs in the first inning this year. So they're aggressive early and jumping on pitchers, but then the pitchers seem to adjust and slow things down as this one is through the hole on the left side for a base hit. And Ole Miss trying to string a little two-out magic together here as Aaliyah Benford goes to first.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to note for Georgia's offense that they're aggressive, they're scoring, they're hitting the ball, putting the ball in play, putting pressure on defenses, but you have to be able to play 7 innings, and you're going to have to continue to make adjustments or say, hey, what is this pitcher now doing the second time through? What are we seeing as, hitters? What is she looking like? Or maybe there's been change in pitchers as the games have gone on, and making sure you're communicating that at a high level, because it's important to give as much information to your teammates throughout the game. But I think Georgia has struggled a little bit with continuing to produce runs, manufacture runs, have a lot of quality at bats. Timely hitting, I think, has killed them a lot in some of these close games where you have runners in scoring position, less than 2 outs. You have a infield pop-up, being a little bit more strategic with their at bats and picking the pitches that they really want to sit on and move the runners.
Swing and a miss, 2-2. Yamas ended the inning in the first. Grounded to third and underneath the glove of White. Benford will speed her way around to third base. They'll be on the corners with 2 out.
We've seen a couple of these ground balls, not hard hit balls, choppers, I guess you could say, that really have kind of gotten the best of Georgia's defense. So I think cleaning that up, you have a solid inning. You have 2 outs. Now you're back in the dugout. First base, you have plenty of time. Be aggressive, go get that hop 2 feet in front of it instead of kind of going at it just with your glove, trying to get the short hop.
Was that just a misplay, misjudgment?
I think so. I think it had a high enough hop. You can catch it like a normal ground ball. You're right there at first. She's going to have to take her out in order to get to first base because it's right on the line. But really, she's going to have to avoid her. She has to give her a chance to catch it. But I think there's just been a couple misplayed balls on defense.
It's an E3.
But a lot of times, those small things lead to something bigger, and I think that's what you've seen when Georgia's been on defense and, talking about their pitching staff struggling a little bit. Backus hasn't given up anything into the grass. Everything's been ground balls. And so that's what you want from your pitcher. But you got to be able to catch them.
May having a run down here, throw home, and out at home is Aaliyah Benford. Will Ole Miss challenge? Indeed they will.
I don't know if we're going to have a call not challenge tonight.
Maybe Traxel will talk with our home plate umpire, Eddie Hall, and is going to get a second look here as Matt Dial comes forward.
Ruling on the field is that the runner is out at home. Ole Miss is challenging the call on the play. This play is under further review.
get Birmingham on the phone here as we'll
Help us.
take a look and see.
They're getting their money's worth in this game.
This is the Hawkeye Enhanced Review.
It was close, but I think she got her on her back before her hand got in there.
It would look like that is an out.
Could also look at, I think their hitting coach down on the field.
It looks like we've got an answer.
After further review, the ruling on the field has been upheld. The runner's out with no obstruction. That's Ole Miss's first
It
challenge.
was like Ole Miss was wanting to argue obstruction
Yeah, I
there.
was
No
gonna say
deal.
maybe obstruction as well.
Ole Miss gets its first run of the game. It's 3-1 in the bottom half. Georgia hosting the SEC tournament this season for the first time in nearly 20 years. May 6th through the 10th here at Jack Turner Stadium in Athens. And, of course, a ton of money has went into the facility here. Multi-million-dollar softball-only offices and complex there out over in left field. Permanent bleachers in center field. Worthy of the program that this program has become nationally.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great tournament. Obviously, Georgia has this new facility, so the grounds here, I think, is a great spot to host the SEC tournament. But it'll be interesting because these SEC teams have huge fan bases, and I'm just trying to figure out where all these people are going to be because you know they're going to come, because a lot of the SEC teams are doing great this year. Huge fan bases, like I said, and I'm just trying to imagine 15 teams of friends, families, fan bases, crazy wild fans yelling everywhere, parking. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see it on TV, and maybe I'll get a VIP pass and make my way up here or something. I don't know.
3, 4, and 5 for Georgia here in the third as Lindy Ray Davis bounces this one to short. 6-3 put out there at first. Will retire the leadoff hitter, and that'll bring up Jaden Goodwin.
One adjustment I'd like to see Georgia make against Benford here is she's going with her drop ball a lot of times, and they're just hitting the top of it. Making small adjustments, being able to get their barrel underneath that, and really driving through her drop ball, I think could take her out of this game here. Like you saw Esther White do with that home run that she was able to hit. But making small adjustments like we were talking about throughout the game and not settling for what you knew in the first inning, right? The game is ever changing throughout the 7 innings, and you gotta be able to compete through all 7.
One adjustment I'd like to see is attitude adjustment. Got a update from my wife, my youngest, Tucker. A little rowdy this evening.
Uh-oh.
Tuck, what are you doing, buddy? Meanwhile, Cooper, as this one's fouled towards the Georgia dugout. Cooper, good report. So mixed bag.
What ages are they?
Cooper's birthday was yesterday, turned 4.
Oh, so not terrible too. So
Tucker
he has no excuse.
Well, Tucker will be 2 next
Oh.
week, so maybe getting an early start.
Yeah, he's saying, hey, this is what you guys are in store for.
Check swing. She didn't go 2-2. But you boys be good for mom, and see you boys in the morning. Coloring some Easter eggs.
Coloring or dyeing? What do you?
Dying, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I'm far out of the practices of.
Been a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure what the most common way of decorating eggs is any longer.
Off the plate. Third to first, 2 away.
When you have a drop ball pitcher like Benford here, she's going to go to her drop ball a lot. You see a lot of Georgia's hits are ground balls in the infield. they're hitting the top of that ball, they're hitting it down to the ground. They have to make the adjustment to get their barrels underneath a little bit sooner and get their barrels out in front just a little bit to catch under that ball and really be able to drive through that ball.
Gordon way out in front of that one.
And then she's going heavy on her off-speed changeup to a lot of these hitters, and they're not able to wait on it. A lot of them are out front.
Left center, this one with a run over the wall and a solo home run with 2 away for Sarah Gordon. She'll trot home for her 9th of the season, and Georgia plates its 4th run of the afternoon.
That's a good adjustment, I'd say.
Saw Leah Benford just kind of laughing there on that one. That'll extend the lead. Back to 3 runs here for Georgia. And Digby goes opposite field. This one will go short of the warning track, and that'll do it for Georgia here in the inning. We've got 3 complete in Athens. Lexi Brady will stand back in here in the box after her at-bat there in the 3rd inning. Grand slam last night, giving her 15 on the season, tied now for the single-season record at Ole Miss with Dee Justice. Breaking the tie with Lauren Grill, so the opportunity to get in the record books here this weekend. Got 8 more chances counting tonight in the regular season.
Right. See Backus going back-to-back curveballs up and in on Brady here. Brady watched the first one. Backus made a small adjustment. The first one was called a ball, brought it down a little bit, called a strike. So I think she needs to live there and get these Ole Miss hitters to start swinging.
Well hit and to left field.
But she has to keep it tight until she gets ahead, because what you don't want to do is just kind of throw it over the plate, because I guarantee you, with all the scouting they do, they know as hitters that they're going to get a curve in, and that's what they're kind of sitting on.
Quick chat there in the circle. Miller and Backus getting on the same page.
Now batting second baseman number 1, Mackenzie Pickens.
Kinsey Pickens looks at a ball 1-0. Singled in the second. Fouled back to 1-1 the count.
Really aggressive on, again, that curveball. Doesn't make it quite in as the other 2 that Brady got. But these right-handed hitters are ready for Backus's curveball, so she has to be careful not to keep it over the white too much early in the count, because they're swinging early in their at-bats.
Three and one with Lair Botte waiting on deck. Botte walked in her previous appearance here, 3-1. Gordon gave it a good chase, couldn't get there in time. Nobody out after the leadoff hitter gets aboard with a single. There's a full count for Backus. Popped up and bobbles out of the glove of Ellison at second. The throw to second is in time for the out. And a good recovery there for Georgia.
That is the best outcome you can have in that situation. But good for Ellison staying with that play. That's not an easy play to make. But staying with it, making a great throw, great catch, great stretch for Digby. Overall, great play.
The fielder's choice for Pickens as Brady is out. On the 4-6, a little unconventional 4-6, but scored just the same.
It's a tough situation for the runner because it's
It
like,
is.
where am I? I trust that she's athletic enough to catch it, but she's far away. Do I get off? What do I do?
And you saw some of the indecision there by Brady, just trying to read. Okay, it looks like she's going to catch it. I need to start heading back towards the bag. Out of her glove. Now I've got to turn all my momentum and go back and credit Ellison a quick throw.
I think
That one's going to hit her. And Lair Boutte will take first.
as a runner, you have to know your own abilities, and you have to practice those situations. Like me thinking about that, I'm thinking about, well, what angle is she at? If I get off far enough, which way do I need to turn? Which way does she have to turn and get me out at first? There's a lot of moving parts, but you want to keep your hips facing second just in case she does miss it like she did, so you're not having to turn around, go back, do all these different movements. But if she does catch it, you still have to be in a position with your capabilities to get back to first.
Yeah. And it looked on that replay, she was dead between the bases.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
and you kind of have to get on a string. Imagine yourself on a string with the defender, and if they go back, you move further down the line, but you don't want to get too far because you don't want to get thrown out. So you move when they move, kind of like in a tandem.
That one misses as Ashton Lansdale, the batter, and Savannah Bananas, all the rage. Ryan Howe got the opportunity to play with the Bananas last summer.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
see
cool.
their TikToks all over the place. I think I would be more nervous to know all the dances when I have to dance instead of playing.
It's involved.
Yeah.
It is involved. Knowing your signals, your calls, bases, hitting, but then to know when you got to dance.
Yeah,
the
I would
different
be
moves
terrible.
you can do.
Yeah, I would.
As bonuses. It's
Take
a
me
lot.
out.
It's a lot.
Take me out.
2-2 is popped back out of play.
I mean, if they had a freestyle, just random, do whatever
When
you
you want
feel,
to.
then I would,
You could do that.
It is very entertaining. They have a lot of fans, so it's a really cool opportunity that she was able to do that. It'd be fun.
2-2 just misses.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. a lot
selling
of,
out
yeah.
Major League Parks.
Yeah, it's entertaining for sure. And so I think that's the biggest piece of it is, people go for the experience,
It's a good time.
have a good time, laugh, see some baseball, some baseball.
It's a party that a baseball game just happened to take place in.
Some people are wearing gloves and cleats and sometimes baseball uniforms. Sometimes I don't think they're wearing full baseball uniforms. But entertainment for sure.
Well hit to right center. Goodnight gives it a chase. It's over the wall. A 3-run home run has tied the game at 4. This one off the bat of the banana, Ashton Lansdale. Wasn't a grand slam, but it was close.
And I think this is kind of the same stuff that we've seen with Georgia's pitchers is one thing leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing. And then getting behind in the count and leaving it over the middle of the plate. And with a lineup like Ole Miss, you can't give away freebies, and you can't live over the white part of the plate, the heart of the plate. So I think Backus needs to just recoup here, reset, 0-0 ball game here, and get her team back into the dugout on offense.
Well, you mentioned freebies. We talked in the open just the number of walks last night by both teams. Georgia last in the SEC in walks allowed. Single, but then a fielder's choice, hit by pitch. It all kind of cascades down to Lansdale hitting a 3-run home run.
Yeah, and I mean, she had obviously good at-bats last night, competitive at-bats, so she's probably pretty confident just where she's at right now. And yeah, you don't want to give away freebies, hit by pitches, walks, and then give up a big hit, home run, double. Dallas put great effort into it, but if it's over, it's over, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about it. And it wasn't, the ball was a little higher. I don't even know if it would have been called a strike, but when you have somebody swinging confidently, it doesn't matter if it's 2 inches too high.
DeLeon turns and goes to second, slides in with a double. And that one really well hit on the 2-2. And still just one out. Now you go top of the order once again here for Ole Miss.
This is when I would like, as a spectator of the game, this is when I would like to see somebody on Georgia's defense call timeout, get everybody into the circle, take a deep breath, reset, and kind of change the momentum here, because I think it gets really lonely in the pitcher's circle, out on defense. When things start to happen for the other team, you have to find a way to stop the bleeding. You have to find a way to switch up the momentum and get everybody back on the same page.
I do see movement in the Georgia bullpen here in the fourth. And top of the order for Ole Miss, Taylor Malvin. As the count goes 1-1, she's 0 for 1 with a sacrifice. Launches that one in, 1-2.
And I think we've seen some called pitches that have been very close, that have been called balls. And when you're playing in these games, every pitch counts. It seems like you give up one pitch, it's a ball, the next pitch is a home run. And you want to get every pitch called a strike. You want to get everything perfect. And it's just part of the game. You have to be able to work through it. And I think it seems like it's been a little frustrating with the pitch calls some of the times. You can tell on defense it gets a little frustrating, body language, different things like that. And Georgia just needs to figure out how to work through that and own it.
Get the strike out of Malvin there, 2 away. Here's Jaden Pone. A single and a stolen base here for her this afternoon.
And a good look for Backus, coming right in after giving up a home run, then a hit, a double, getting a strikeout, and now being 0-2 against Pone here.
Backus fields it and out at first, and a collision there at the bag, and Jamie Traxel going to argue some obstruction right there.
Seems like we've seen a handful of those close plays at first base.
So Ole Miss ties it at 4 as we go to the bottom half of the fourth. You see Jaden Pone, the left fielder, who was the third out of the top half of the inning. And look at this play here at first base. Good fielding by Backus, but the positioning there, you were saying awfully tight to the bag.
Yeah, it seems that play, and I think there's been another couple plays when there's been throws to first that the Georgia first baseman has been really close up the line and has caused, obviously, contact there, but just to be kind of close for no reason, you know what I mean? Because the ball's coming from middle of the field and or third, short, or second. So I think, obviously, for safety reasons, you don't have the safety bag. You want to make sure as a first baseman that you're in a good position for yourself to be safe, but also you want to make sure that you're in a good position for the runners to have a clear lane to run through first, especially if, you know, you're not fielding the ball as a first baseman. So I think there probably could be an adjustment made with her setup.
Ground ball lightly hit, and Pickens had to go diving for it at second and wouldn't have been able to get a throw up at first base to put Marissa Miller aboard.
And, you know, one thing's interesting, and both teams are doing it, is their middle infielders are shifting, whether it's pre-pitch, that's just kind of where they're, you know, doing on righties or lefties. But if you notice right now, the second baseman is literally behind second base.
And Moole Williams hits the deck.
And they have a defensive shift going on.
Boy, tried to get out of the way of that one there, and it got the bat, thankfully. She hops up and...
But like I was saying, if you notice right now, Ole Miss's second baseman is playing in the grass behind second base. Shortstop's normal and third base is normal. So they're hoping and they're buying into a shift that the hitter's going to go up the middle, whether that's because she's throwing a lot of change-ups, they're hitting the change-ups, her curveball, they're pulling a lot of balls. So they're giving up the second base 3-4 hole.
Bunted back to the pitcher. Williams will try to leg it out, won't be able to do it, but the sacrifice is successful as it moves the catcher Marissa Miller into scoring position.
Or they had a shift going on because Benford is really super athletic at pitcher and she can field her position. So in the situation for a sac bunt like they just did, second base is going to be at second base. First base is going to stay back to cover first base, and Benford has all the bunts to that side of the field. Because now you can see the second baseman is back in her normal position.
Molly Mitchell will pinch run now with Miller getting into scoring position. And Esther White, who hit the 3-run home run in the second, will stand in.
You'd love for that inside pitch to be called a strike. That was close. I can't tell you where it missed. But the umpire gets paid to call balls and strikes, so. Yeah, I think on both sides, Georgia and Ole Miss, the pitchers have seen a little inconsistency in the strike zone. And when you get later in the game, you know, you expect certain pitches to be called strikes because they were called strikes the first 3 innings. It can be a little frustrating. And then as a hitter on the flip side, you're not entirely sure what they're going to call a ball or strike, so you just kind of have to be aggressive and trust your abilities.
(3-1) got her jammed up. Count moves full now, 3-2. That one will be a fair ball as it bounces off the bag. Stopping at third is Molly Mitchell. And another tight one that we saw earlier in the game, this time over to third. And they'll be on the corners with one out.
Yeah, that's a tough play as a defender. It's, do we catch it in front of the base? Do I have time to get to the front of the base? Do I let it bounce behind the base? It's not an ideal ball, but if anything, you have to just make your decision and get to the ball really quickly, whatever it is that you decide. I think if she would have had a chance to get her out at one, she would have had to come get that hop in front of the base.
Be a single for White, and they'll be on the corners now with one away.
This is a good opportunity for Georgia to work on manufacturing a run, use their speed, use short game, be confident in the pitches that you're swinging at, bunting, but have a plan and 100% go after it. Because you have less than 2 outs, you have the top of the lineup up here. So this is exactly what Georgia wants for their offense. First and third, 1 out. Tyler Ellison up, leadoff hitter. Then you have Dallas Goodnight, who has tons of speed, can put a bunt down, can slap, can hit. Looking to move runners here and score for Georgia.
So Miley Wachenio warming in the bullpen for Ole Miss. This one popped to center, and falling down is Lansdale on the throw. And scoring easily from third is Molly Mitchell. And Georgia will retake the lead 5-4.
That's exactly what you want for Georgia. Sack fly, tag up, score run, and get ahead.
White remains at first base. As Dallas Goodnight stands in now for the third time, walked in the first, popped to short, back in the second. And that one will sting for a little bit. And a good bruise earned for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that got her below the knee, but Binford throws pretty hard, so it's not gonna, there's not a spot that it's not gonna hurt. But when you have a right-handed pitcher throwing at a lefty and they throw inside, it's a little bit, it seems like it's a little bit faster than to a right-handed hitter. Picks up speed.
Jamie Traxel out of the dugout talking with Eddie Hall.
Oh.
I think that's what
Got her a
Jamie
little
Traxel
bit, yeah. Got her a little bit
arguing
higher,
about.
but
So first and second with 2 out in Lindy Ray Davis.
again, both pitchers still in, but Georgia coming through for the third time tonight, seeing the same pitcher. So continuing to make adjustments. You see Binford pitching more balls. Maybe she's getting tired. She does play both sides of the ball, defense and hitting. So Georgia really needs to pick the pitches that they want to swing at and make her throw to them.
Davis chased after the 2-1.
Benford going her off speed again. I think you can see some of her harder pitches are getting away from her a little bit, and she's pitching more balls. So still really being consistent with her off speed and going her changeup.
Popped up out of play.
Benford, when she throws her changeup, you can't tell that she's throwing it because her body doesn't slow down. A lot of pitchers slow down their arms, slow down their body. You can tell that they're throwing it. She does a really good job of keeping it
through the
same
hole,
speed.
waved around. Here is White. She'll come home sliding in. She'll be safe. Georgia with another run on the board makes it 6-4. And an RBI single with 2 away by Lindy Ray Davis. Georgia will pinch run for Davis at first with Emma Castori.
Number 17, Emma Castori.
So Castori will give Georgia some speed here with 2 outs. First and second. Good night at second. She is certainly fast. Here's Jaden Goodwin, 0 for 2 on the game here so far with a line out and a ground out.
And Goodwin has enough power to get the ball to the fence, and so I think what Tony's thinking is have speed on first. If something gets to the fence, that they can score for sure.
And that one will make its way to Yamase at first. But Georgia scores 2, 6-4 after 4. Four in the books. We head to the 5th, a 6-4 game as Leah Benford has worked 4 innings of 8 hits, 6-run ball here for Ole Miss. Offense coming for Ole Miss back in the 4th with the 3-run home run from Ashton Lansdale. Lily Backus 4 innings to this point, 7 hits, 4 runs. And Sarah Gordon with a home run in the 3rd, a 3-run home run for Esther White in the 2nd. Got things started for Georgia. Georgia put 2 more on the board there in the bottom of the 4th to make it a 6-4 game. And Emma Castori will be the new right fielder for Georgia. And so make Sarah Gordon the DP. Part of the order here for Ole Miss, 3, 4, and 5 after Benford got hit. This one is popped up by Yamas. 1 away.
And like we were talking about earlier, you know, you come off a good inning, you score 2 more, you're still ahead, Georgia, and you start the inning off with a hit by pitch. You know, those are the things that give momentum to the other team, and so Georgia has to really hone in on lessening those types of things after a good inning.
Catcher Lexi Brady tied the program single season home run mark last night at 15. Through 4 innings, 4 runs on 7 hits, an error for Ole Miss. Rebs have stranded 4. Georgia's got 6 runs on 8 hits, an error defensively, and has likewise stranded for as the 2-0 gets in there for a strike, 2-1. And now Lily Backus across the century mark with 100 pitches. And after Georgia with 5 pitchers on the roster, 4 of them pitched last night, she is the 5th to go here in the series. I would imagine you're probably going to see her try to go as long as possible.
Yeah, I think they're going to roll with Backus. As long as Georgia is staying ahead, hitting the ball, scoring runs, I think they're going to stay with Backus and have her just battle it out and compete. Because looking ahead to their next game, right, like all 4 of those pitchers pitched yesterday. If you can get Backus through that whole game, Georgia keeps scoring, then you have all those pitchers for the 3rd game.
And that one's going to hit Brady. Be the 2nd hit batter of the inning here for Lily Backus.
And what I think you're seeing right now is Backus is probably tired. She's pitched a lot of pitches, obviously. Last 2 hitters hit by pitches, but they're both righties. She's going up and in with her curveball, trying to get them to swing. I think it's just getting away from her too much, that it's hitting them, and it's not a competitive pitch that they're going to swing at.
Chelsea Wilkinson come out of the dugout.
And what I'd like to see is for her to kind of go back to her off speed. She was using it a lot early in the game. They were swinging, missing, hitting ground balls. So being able to pull that out now, especially when you're struggling with maybe some of your harder pitches, your go-to strike pitches, is really utilizing that off speed. Because like we said, 3rd time through the lineup, the hitters have the timing, same pitcher, they've made adjustments, so you really have to do a good job of keeping the hitters on their toes with pitch calling, pulling out the off speed, having competitive pitches that they're wanting to swing at rather than just pitching straight balls that they're just watching go by.
You saw Taylor Strain pinch running at first base for the catcher, Lexi Brady.
And I think it's the same idea that what Georgia did the inning prior is they understand that every run counts and they're going to need speed on the bases.
Well hit to center on the run, grabbing it there is Goodnight, the throw back to first. Double play. I think the umpire may have gotten overruled out there. I don't know if Susan Eads came in and said she was safe. The call from the outfield by Matt Dial was that she was out at first, but then Tony Baldwin immediately out of the dugout yelling at the officials. So they're going to talk about it here.
She was for sure out. Maybe the umpire saw Ole Miss's head coach say safe, and she said safe. I don't know, but it was a great play by Dallas. Heads-up play to go throw behind the runner. She looked out from way up here, so I'm not sure.
And now she'll confirm the call on the field of out. And a double play for Georgia getting out of the jam here in the 5th. 6-4 our score as we go to the bottom half. Dallas Goodnight there in the center. And a high five from Chelsea Wilkinson there on the L8-3 double play. Big play right here. And I was talking a moment ago, her momentum pulling her over, but look how far off the base there the pinch runner is.
Yeah, that's not, it's not even close, but less than 2 outs, you have to know where you are. You have to know, obviously, where the outfielders are. And, you know, that play's right in front of you as the runner, so you have to be able to see that. And like we were talking about earlier, you don't want to get too far off that you can't get back if they do catch it. So you have to kind of find the middle ground where you can still get to second if they drop it, and if they catch it, you can get back to first. And I think she just got too far, too close to second, thinking, or forgetting that Dallas has a lot of speed. Dallas did a great job of getting there and then getting rid of the ball and getting double play. So
moments in this one where I think every run's going to matter.
For sure.
In a 6-4 game. And we go to the bottom of the 5th.
I mean, you think about, in the first 2 innings, Georgia had already used both of their challenges with, important plays that would have scored potentially. And then later in the game, there was another play at home, that Ole Miss challenge. So they're fighting for every run, scrapping for every run. And, small moments make big moments. And then the big moments turn into bigger moments depending on which way it goes. So when it comes down to base running, you have to have your head in the game, and you have to know the capabilities of everybody around you, even your own, because base running is a huge thing.
1-1 gets bounced to second. And it's 4-3 put out of Sarah Gordon, 1 away.
Now batting the shortstop, number 22, Emily Digby.
We are going to have a pitching change. So we'll take a timeout and reset with it in a 6-4 game in the 5th. Brianna Lopez will come on in relief here for Ole Miss. Senior from Riverside, California, will inherit. The base is empty. And her numbers on the season, 2.67 ERA. And Tate Davis, a freshman from Greer, South Carolina, comes on to take over shortstop from Tate Davis. So a couple of changes here in the inning.
Now coming to the plate, the shortstop, number 22, Emily Digby.
So here's Emily Digby. I believe they've actually shifted Tate Davis over to third. As the 1-1 is pulled foul 1 and 2, and that would be Angelina De Leon moving over to short. Line foul.
And this is a good chance, now that they took Benford out, for Georgia to continue the momentum, keep hitting the ball hard, keep putting the ball in play when they bring in a new pitcher, and really put the pressure on Ole Miss to get back in this game.
And that one just out of
That was close.
Just out of the line there, foul. And Susan Eads,
Yes.
quick on the feet there.
Yes. I don't know if her feet were as quick as her upper body.
She was moving.
I'm sure her feet could have been a little quicker, but she got her upper body out of the way in plenty of time. But that was close.
To short. De Leon gets tested immediately.
Yeah, the game knows. When you move people around or you bring somebody new in, the ball usually finds that person very soon.
So Lopez gets the first out for herself. And here's the catcher, Marissa Miller. That one gets in there for a strike, 0-1.
So back-to-back hitters, she's gone with her off-speed first pitch. So trying to get ahead, knows she can get a strike out of it, knows they're probably not going to swing at it because she's a new pitcher this inning. And then goes in, out, in, out, in, out. So a good setup pitch because they haven't seen her tonight. They're probably not going to swing and make good contact on a first pitch changeup because they're trying to see what she's throwing. But a good way to get ahead early in the count.
Grounded to short. And another 6-3 put out. We are through 5 in Athens. Lily Backus has pitched well here this afternoon for Georgia and has given the Dogs an opportunity to win this thing. 24 faced, 106 pitches, 7 hits, 4 runs, all earned, but has walked just 1 and struck out 4. And they're not unbelievable numbers, but Georgia leads by 2. It's been enough to give the Dogs the chance to win.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference in tonight's game is in the circle. You know, Georgia's been producing runs. They've been playing well. It's just the pitchers, I think, have been underperforming to their potential.
Yeah.
And I think Backus in the circle tonight has shown that. Minimal walks, you said only 1. She's produced a lot of ground balls. There have been some defensive miscues, but overall, great defense. One of the wild pitches, gave up a run there. Some hit by pitches, so a couple freebies, but overall, minimal damage from the Ole Miss offense. So I think for me, looking at this as a whole, that's the biggest difference I see in tonight's game for Georgia.
7-8-9 for Ole Miss here in the 6th as the Rebels down to their final 6 outs. But I say 7-8-9. Those batters have got a 3-run home run, a single, and a double.
Yeah, it's just your spot in the lineup at the beginning of the game. Once the game starts, it's, you know, everybody's important because you don't know who's going to get on, what's going to happen. Sometimes it's a crazy game, and you know that's what you want. You want a lineup that's consistent throughout. Hitters that have good quality at bats and that can produce and manufacture runs.
A called strike 3 on Lair Boucher. She didn't like it. 1 away.
Now batting the center fielder, number 5, Ashton Lansdowne.
I can see why the umpire liked it. That's a good pitch by Backus.
This one is to right field, and a nice diving catch by Emma Castori, who came in defensively in the 5th.
And the ball found her immediately.
And a good job by her.
Linsdale's been hitting the ball hard. She hit a home run this game. Outfield has to be ready to make those types of plays, has to get good reads, because that's what Backus needs to remain in the pitcher circle.
Check swing. They'll say she didn't go. Two for 2, single and a double. Lansdale is who hit the 3-run home run, so that's a big out of her there to get the second one. DeLeon, no batting gloves.
I don't know how that works. Sorry.
2 for 2 today. It works for her. She'll foul that one back.
Actually, last night I ran a practice, and I decided I wanted to take BP last night off front toss, but I did not come prepared to do that, and so I didn't have my batting gloves, and so my hands were naked, and I have a little irritation on my hand, so not happy about that, but I thought I hit well. Sometimes you just got to muscle through. It's like, you know what? I just got to hit a ball. I mean, and I hit, well, now I don't know. I probably hit without gloves for less times than I have been hitting with gloves. I only started wearing gloves in college. I didn't wear batting gloves before college.
Really?
Yeah. But now, don't catch me. You're not going to catch me without them.
Gotta have them.
Well, I feel like I'm just like Superman with gloves on.
3-2 is popped up on the infield. Digby watches it in. A 1-2-3 inning defensively here for Georgia in the 6th.
Am I out?
Esther White due up here for the 3rd time this afternoon. A 3-run home run in the 2nd. Got the scoring going for the Dogs. Followed things up with a single back in the 4th inning. Then she came around and scored in part of a 2-run 4th. She's been a big piece of the offense here this afternoon.
Leading on the bottom of the 6th inning for the Georgia Bulldogs, third baseman number 8, Mua Williams.
Well, we mentioned came in here as a freshman hitting 160, but has hit the ball well here this afternoon.
And I think it's just how I think about things. Like, you know, Ole Miss or whoever the opponent is looking at the stats. They're looking at what people have done in game, but what they don't see is what players do in practice and, you know, where they're at mentally and all that. And so it's like, stats matter, but when game time hits, nobody cares if she's hitting 160. She certainly didn't care if she's hitting. She's going to still swing the bat, you know, and I think it's an interesting piece of the puzzle in sports is your opponent looks at you one way and you look at yourself in an entirely different way. And, you know, a lot of success is made from that confidence that you build at practice, in game, off the field.
And just as we brag on Esther White having a 2 for 2 day, Georgia's going to pinch hit for her right here.
And I think this is more of a lefty pitcher, righty hitter matchup. Because a lefty-lefty matchup, when Perez has a good curveball and a good off speed, going away from a lefty is going to be a lot harder than a lefty-righty matchup.
And a little underrated there on that put out of Mua Williams was the dig that De Leon had to make there at short.
Yeah,
and
not
to
a
scoop and pull that thing up really quickly.
Yeah,
that was a tough angle.
Not an easy play to make. But you see Perez is going with her off speed back-to-back here against these righty hitters.
De Leon moving over from 3rd to short. And Davila swings and misses and out on 3 pitches, 2 away. And go top of the order here for Georgia in the 6th.
And 3 off speed at that, 3 changeups. And at this point, to the righty hitters, I wouldn't throw anything but a changeup and get them, you know, make them earn a hit, make them wait and get on time with your changeup. Because right now she's kind of dealing right now with her changeup. You see another one right there, back 4 in a row.
Tyler Ellison for the 4th time. Oh for 2 with a sac fly RBI.
We count that as a hit in a hitter's mind.
It's a productive at bat.
We don't care about official stats. This is a hit. It's a quality at bat. You think if your coach gave you the green light on 3-0, you would be the type of hitter that would swing 3-0? Like if they was like, okay, yeah, you got it.
I'd probably take.
Not me. If you want to get under a pitcher's skin, she doesn't want to walk you, so she's going to throw it right down the middle, and then it's like, hey, I don't want to get walked either, so I'm just going to hit it over the fence.
Three-two. That one's sent to right center and into the glove of Malvin. Ole Miss down to its final 3 outs here on Friday night. Good Friday in Athens. It's been a good one for the Bulldogs here on Friday night after dropping a wild one on Thursday night to open the series. Georgia trying to hold on, get these final 3 outs, and even the series at 1 games apiece and set the rubber match for tomorrow at noon Eastern on the SEC Network.
Leading on the top of the 7th inning for the Ole Miss Rebels. Top of the order, the right fielder, number 22, Taylor Malvin.
So Ole Miss down to its final 3 outs, and it's the top of the order for the Rebels.
And I think this is the big piece of the puzzle that Georgia's been missing is finishing these games. That they've scored a lot of runs in. I think a lot of times the last couple of innings, things kind of go awry, and that's where they've lost a lot of these games. So they really have to shut the door here with Ole Miss and get to the game tomorrow.
Hit and run there by Malvin, misses 1-2. Just a piece to stay alive.
And I feel like we've been on like an emotional roller coaster this whole game. Just, with all the stuff that's been going on from the start till now. But I commend Backus for staying in it, staying consistent. There were a couple innings, a couple batters where things kind of didn't go her way or didn't go Georgia's way. But I think she's done a great job tonight for her team, staying consistent, staying confident, and really allowing her best pitches to come out and really rolling with them against Ole Miss here.
Off the plate, Williams from third charges it one away.
And just looking at body language, I mean, it's you can see that Backus is more confident than she was in some situations tonight, but that's so easy to feed off of with your defense, and you can see the infield just kind of moving smoothly. The outfield's made great plays. So being able to play behind a confident pitcher is a lot easier than not a confident pitcher. So I think it's important for Georgia to keep the consistency with their body language, consistent talking, pre-pitch communication, and making routine plays.
Jaden Pone here with one away. Before we get out of here tonight, I want to thank the crew. Everybody back in the control room, turning the knobs and pressing the buttons. Our camera crew here at Jack Turner Stadium bring you all the sights and sounds as the 1-1 has popped up. Williams waves her off, 2 away. Ole Miss down to its final out, and holiday weekend, 3-game set. What looks to be a rubber match tomorrow at noon Eastern, so I hope everybody enjoys a day off on Sunday with family and friends. And Leah Benford will be Ole Miss's final hope here with 2 outs. Georgia has taken a game in conference play in every weekend series, with the exception of Texas A&M. That game 3 was canceled. As the 1-0 is popped up, Ellison waves them off, and Georgia gets its 6th SEC victory of the season in a 6-4 Friday night win over Ole Miss. Not quite as many offensive fireworks as last night, but plenty to watch here with 10 runs between
I'm sure
these two.
Georgia's okay with that. Tomorrow's game should definitely be exciting. Looking forward to watching that. Great job tonight from Backus in the circle, leading her team to a win. Georgia's offense, scoring runs when they needed them, and holding Ole Miss's offense at bay with only 4 runs tonight.
Certainly like to see the fight